You can go everywhere you want to go and get all the little nerdy little stuff you want to get, but you will never find someone that gives you what Tyler just gave you. The beat, like seriously, the vampires, baby. Let's go.
Week 12 is on deck. Only 3 weeks remaining in the regular season before we figure out what in the world is going on with these conference races. We covered all of that on our live show last night. Go check that out on our YouTube page or the audio that's on Apple and Spotify. We've got a trio of big games covered tonight. We're going to talk upset meter again for some teams because we had a lot of fun doing that segment last week. We're going to put a couple of our own picks on Upset Alert, and then we'll close it out, as always, with some best bets for the week 12 of college football. This is Always Talking Ball. Tyler Noe, Lance Barton. Real quick before we get started, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Like the show, comment on it, give us some comments. We know you're commenting on X, Instagram, and TikTok. We love that. Make sure you're following us over there too. We love all the interaction. It's the best time of the year for college football. Lance, let's get into Big Game Breakdown, sponsored by Branded Bills. As always, we got a link in our episode description here, or the QR code that's in the top right on the YouTube screen. Click on that. Takes you right to our link. Get some Branded Bills stuff for Christmas, man. And obviously, we get some of that portion of the sale there, and it helps us out, man. It helps us keep going here on the pod, and makes it worth it for us. So let's start off, man. Number 10 Texas at number 5 Georgia. 7:30 ABC prime time. Right now, currently, the line has dropped to Georgia 5.5. So some money coming in on the horns, obviously. My big question in this game is, has that Texas offense, like we alluded to, have they figured something out in the past couple games? And if they have, can they duplicate it against that Glenn Schumann-led Dogs D? Honestly, they've kind of been average a little bit this season.
Yeah, I do think Texas has figured some stuff out offensive. I think Sark has adjusted to, how he's calling plays for this offense this deep into the season with just the strengths and the weaknesses that this team has. I do think that they have improved. I mean, again, teams are allowed to improve throughout the season. Do I think it's still anywhere near what we thought this offense was going to be? Absolutely not. I do not. And do I think that they still have a lot of deficiencies? Yes, I do. So I don't think that I'm not even gonna call it get right, because it's like Texas has been playing better offensively here lately as it is, as it is. I just don't think that Texas's offense is going to have some offensive explosion against this Georgia defense and against this Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann defense, and not in Athens and not at night, not against this Georgia defense, where obviously Texas has the ability to hang in this game is to lean on their studs on defense, to lean on the Colin Simmons, to lean on the Anthony Hill Juniors, and so on that team. I'm assuming Michael Taft is going to be back for this one, kind of the quarterback of that defense at the safety spot. I would imagine he's going to be back for this one. But that is where Texas can stay in this game. Where they also need to do here is dude, last year, the amount of turnovers that both of these teams had against each other in those two matchups were unbelievable. So many turnovers. But Texas specifically, with their deficiencies that they do have on offense, bro, you cannot. And this goes for any game, but especially a game where you're not far superior like they are to Mississippi State and like they are to the Kentuckys, like they are to Vandy. Texas is not far superior to Georgia athletically, physically, team wise, coaching staff wise. Nope, not at all. So that gets heightened if you turn the football over on the road in this atmosphere against this football team, that just you're not going to have a chance to win the game. You cannot turn the football over in this game to win. And that really goes for Georgia too, but especially for Texas on the road here. So I think that the matchup for Texas against this Georgia defense, I don't love it by any means. It's just still kind of strange though, man. What did Georgia do last year that really just hurt Texas in these two matchups?
If I remember correctly, especially that game in Austin, I mean, they really jumped on them right in the first quarter, which we know Georgia has not been a first quarter team this year. But they jumped on him. They got pressure on Ewers, big time pressure up in his face. Arch he's been okay at protecting the ball. He got 18 touchdowns, 6 picks. Haven't really looked too deep into his turnover stats. Maybe a couple more fumbles, but he's protected the ball okay. Like, and again with that Georgia D, like you can take advantage of that secondary. We've seen multiple teams take advantage of that secondary, hit some deep shots. But to your original question, I mean, I think that last, especially that first game in Austin, I mean, they blitzed him from the very, very first second.
10 tackles for a loss and 7 sacks in that matchup last year.
Yep.
Jalen Walker and that crew is not walking through the door this year for Georgia. So that would be where.
And that was also against a way better Texas offensive line, though.
Correct.
Their offensive line is not good this year.
Correct. I just don't think that this Georgia defensive front can get after the passer and will be able to just, get after Manning as much as obviously the Georgia defense last year. Again, this far into the season, the Georgia defense is what they are. They're still a very good defense. They're going to be able to slow down the run against most teams that they play, but they're not going to be able all of a sudden to just like dominate behind the line of scrimmage and create a ton of sacks and create a ton of pressure. The only way that they can create some pressure is if they send pressure, blitzing and things like that. That's how they've been getting pressure so far this year. So it's just going to be a completely different type of matchup between these two teams. Again, last year, Georgia punked them on the line of scrimmage, specifically along the defensive line. Offensively for Georgia in this one, did you think you would say this before the season? That the quarterback matchup in this game favors Gunnar Stockton over Arch Manning?
I mean, if you look at our preseason quarterback rankings in the SEC, we wouldn't say that.
No, but nobody would. Nobody had Gunnar Stockton ahead of Arch Manning going into the season. So yeah, Gunnar Stockton
I know Arch. If you look at the expectations for both quarterbacks, for Arch and for Gunnar Stockton, they were nowhere in the same realm. So
they should have been.
I know, but I don't think Arch, he was never probably going to live up to those expectations for him. Gunnar's expectations were a little lower, so we look at his stats and we're like, he really has outperformed his expectations, but like his stats aren't like really too far off of Arch's.
No,
he's made some big time throws in some big time games.
Yeah,
but
what I was saying was
the world on fire.
What I was saying is not that Gunnar's expectations should have been through the roof like Arch's were. It should have been the other way around. Arch's expectations for a first-year starter should have been closer to what the expectations were for Gunnar Stockton. If his last name was Stockton or Smith or something else, it would have been, but because his last name's Manning and so on, we all know that whole story. But this offense, led by Mike Bobo, has been playing really well down the stretch for Georgia. Really well. Gunnar Stockton's playing really well. I mean, really, dude, they can hit you from all kinds of different like angles. That is more so than any team that Texas has played so far this year, because they got a broken hand John Mateer in the Oklahoma game. And that's not taking anything away from the Texas defense, okay? Both things can be true. Texas's defense is really freaking good and has elite playmakers. And John Mateer did have a freaking broken hand with like a brace on his hand that he came back early from surgery from to play in that game. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. That happened in that game.
And Oklahoma really wasn't running the ball that well at that point in the season, regardless.
No, they weren't. This Georgia offense is the most, I'm going to say, like, complete, can hit you from all kinds of different, like, angles than any offense that Texas has faced this year. They can go in the +1 run game from the QB power run game with Gunnar Stockton. They can turn around and hand the football off to multiple backs who have been running the football really well here down the stretch for Georgia. They've got a plethora of wide receivers who have been making plays for them, 4 or 5 different guys who are making plays for them. And they've got 2 or 3 tight ends that are beyond tough to defend. And they're using all of them in every matchup that they play in right now. Like, they're hitting you from, like, if you watch the Ole Miss game, that tight end group, like Lawson Lucky and Oscar Delt, just dominated that. They took over the game at one point.
Is Lucky playing this game? I know he got banged up last game.
I'm not sure. Probably should know that, but I'm really not sure. Either way, They've got they've got like 3 tight ends right now at Georgia that are making plays and playing really well, and they always do, but they do right now.
Yeah.
But just this will be the most, like, overall, like, talented group collectively and a tougher offense to stop for Texas because you can't just line up and stop the run because they can beat you in the passing game. You can't just think about the running backs running the football because Gunnar Stockton is a very good runner, and I think you will see him run the football a lot. Again,
Yeah.
what hurts the Georgia defense? What hurts Kirby Smart's defense? A dual threat
Yeah.
quarterback that can run and pass. I think you're going to see Arch run the football more. Sark knows that. I mean, so if we all
Yeah.
know that, Sark knows that against this group.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see. Yeah, I think Gunnar Stockton's going to run the ball, but I'm anxious to see how their traditional running game stacks up because Texas is allowing 78 yards per game rushing,
Oh yeah,
second in the country.
I don't think Georgia's going to be able just to line up and say, "Here we come, boys. Here comes the mean machine in red and black. We're just going to line up and run off tackle and run." I got it in there, bro. I got it in there.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able just to run through the A gaps and off tackle against this Texas defensive front and expect to have consistent success. Got to keep the Texas defense honest. You can't allow Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill Jr. and Trey Moore and some of these other pass rushers just to tee off and think you're going to throw every time. Got to be able to keep them honest in the run game. Hey, what does Bobo love to do?
Loves those
Screens,
screens.
quick passes. That's good against a team that wants to pin
I
their
think
ears back and rush the quarterback.
I think you'll see some screens from Sark too,
Oh, you
because
will.
when they did that against Vandy, they really found some quick hitters there. The air yards for Arch was like 2 air yards per pass in the first half, so he wasn't getting it downfield, but they were getting the ball in the playmakers' hands, and Ryan Wingo and those guys were making some plays. So before we get to game picks, real quick for anyone who wasn't tuning in last night, we talked about this game a lot when it comes to
Mhm,
playoffs.
mhm.
Anybody's looking at this game preview and just clicking on this video, we appreciate you. Click subscribe for us. Um, you talked pretty quick. We'll make it quick. You talked a lot about this being like a must win for Texas. People saying it'd be a must win for
Yeah,
Texas.
other people are saying that, yeah.
Other people's yeah, and nobody's talking about the Georgia side and if this is like a must win for them.
Yes, what Tyler's alluding to is last night, it's just unbelievable to me that everybody, and I think it's because just looking at the amount of losses in the loss column for each team.
Sure.
They're only talking about Texas being a do or die season on the line, college football playoff like elimination game for Texas. And that's just not the case. Like, look at the rankings right now. If Texas is a 9-3 team, meaning that let's just say they lose this game, if they beat undefeated, ranked number 1, 2, or 3, Texas A&M at the end of the season, and that's how they end their season is beating that team, they are going to be a significantly more attractive 3-loss team than any of those 3-loss SEC teams from last year. The Alabama, who just got their cheeks clapped by 24-3 by Oklahoma, who lost 6 games last year. South Carolina, who lost to Alabama and to Ole Miss. Speaking of Ole Miss was that other 9-3 team. They had an awful loss to Kentucky on their home field, and they lost to Florida as well. But again, that loss to Kentucky was that awful loss. Texas would have no just awful losses. Again, the loss in Gainesville at Florida, not great, but still, that's not like as bad as some of the losses I just said. And they would have losses at Ohio State and at Georgia. They would also have wins over Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma. All 3 of those teams are in the top 15 in the country right now as we sit here today, and who we obviously know that committee respects. So they would still have a shot. Georgia acting like this is not some like, and again, no, I'm not going to say must win, but if Georgia were to lose this game, ask Georgia fans about that Georgia Tech game last year. Who does
Mhm.
Georgia play at the end of the year this year, like they do every year?
Yep.
They played Georgia Tech, and shame on them for not playing that game in Bobby Dodd. But that game will be played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But then that becomes a must-win, do-or-die game for Georgia. All of the pressure would be on Georgia in that spot because all those things I just said about 9-3 Texas having a shot to get in. If Georgia loses this game and then turns around and loses again at the end of the year to Georgia Tech, losing 2 of their final 3 games, they would not have the resume to be the 9-3 team to get into the college football playoff, like I just mentioned with Texas. So I'm not going to say obviously both teams want to win the dang game. Okay. Like, don't be one of those people that's like, oh, he's trying to say that neither one of these teams need to win. Yes. It is both teams want to win the freaking game. Okay. It's going to be a fantastic game, but it is not a do or die game for Texas. It is not, in my opinion, any more important for Texas than this is for Georgia. This is as important for both of these teams, considering the college football playoffs and where that's concerned. But
All
my
right,
last
I've
thing,
got to
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was
No,
going to
you're
say my
good.
last thing on this game, man. Where Texas played Georgia twice last year. There's a reason why that, like, really the monster underneath Georgia's bed has really only been Alabama over the last several years. You've got to have a certain type of mindset and a certain type of you got to turn it up a notch to go play Georgia in Athens and to go toe to toe with them in Athens and beat them. The athletes they're going to put on the field, the physicality that Georgia's going to bring. Just ask Texas how caught off guard they were last year at the beginning of that game when Georgia lined up, and they did. They came into Austin last year with the mindset of, we're going to steal your freaking lunch money and make you like it. And that is what Georgia did to Texas last year. Georgia in that SEC championship game took a stand and 8 count from Texas and stood there with their mouth bleeding and just kept on coming.
With their backup quarterback.
Took their best punch and kept coming and just out-physicaled and bullied Texas. The only team that did that last year. I want to know if Texas has taken that next step and going, because, like, yes, we all know Texas has talent. Okay, they've got freaking from a talent perspective, they've got as good as anybody in the country, including Georgia. They've got an incredible staff. I want to know if Texas can seriously lock those gates, nobody gets out, and they can stand there in Athens toe to toe with the Dogs, with the mean machine in red and black, and go toe to toe for 4 quarters with them physically. Because if they can win this game. They can.
I got a best bet in this game. And until Georgia and Texas prove me otherwise, I'm going to take Georgia in the matchup. When it dipped to 5.5, I snagged it at 5.5. Like I said, I mean, until Georgia proves me wrong that they're going to lose, a game like this, not to Alabama at home, and that Texas can go in there, like you just said, and be physical enough to handle it. They may do that. They may prove me wrong. I may lose the bet, but I'm going to take Georgia minus 5.5 in this game.
I've got a best bet in this game as well. Exact same reasons you just said. Until Georgia proves me otherwise, that they're not going to, in a big game like this, played anywhere, but especially in Athens, against somebody not named Alabama, then until Texas can show me that they can beat Georgia in a game like this. We've seen Texas on the road this year. We saw them at Mississippi State. We saw them at Kentucky. We saw them at Ohio State. We saw them at Florida. They struggled in all of those matchups on the road. And this is as tough as an environment as they're going to be in all year. And I actually think that Georgia matches up well with Texas. This year's Georgia team matches up well with them, with that group that they've got on the offensive side of the ball. I think Georgia doesn't have to blitz and stuff. I don't think they necessarily need to see how much pressure they can get on Arch Manning. I think that they're fine with Arch Manning standing back there trying to survey and trying to find guys open. Take away the short passing game and try to make Texas beat you over the top. That would be what Georgia needs to do defensively. But I think Georgia matches up really well in this game, and I think they're going to take it to Texas. I also got it at 5.5, and I'm going to take the Dogs to cover the 5.5 and to win this game.
Number 11, Oklahoma at number 4, Alabama in Tuscaloosa, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Alabama currently 6-point favorites. A couple questions to start off this preview. We alluded to it, talking earlier about the games, but has that Oklahoma running game figured something out? They've seems like they've kicked it up a notch the past couple weeks. I know competition hasn't been great, but they did pretty well against South Carolina. They did well against Tennessee. They've got a bye week coming into this game. Have they figured something out? Will the running game material? Will they have enough success against a fairly average Bama run D? And then on the flip side, can Ty Simpson take advantage through the air? Because we know they're not going to take advantage through the ground. We're not going to keep beating a dead horse about Alabama's run game. Can they take advantage through the air, though, like Ole Miss did when they went to Norman? They threw it for over 3 bills against the Sooner secondary.
Yeah, first question there is I do think Oklahoma has found a little bit in the running game. Again, I think Ben Arbuckle, it's a new team, new group of guys. Uh, John Mateer is getting healthier. They have a true freshman, Blaylock, who's been running the ball mostly down the stretch here. So I just think that's just, again, as the season goes along, they're getting more used to each other. They're getting more used to running this system. Mateer's obviously ran this system, but a lot of these offensive linemen haven't, and a lot of these other guys, period, across the board on the offense have not. So I just think it's just both play caller and players getting used to each other and finding what works, what doesn't. I think that's what you're seeing here is they're getting better at that. Also, this will be the healthiest that John Mateer has been since before he broke his hand. We know that Alabama has had issues with dual threat quarterbacks in the last couple of years. Mateer is as dual threat as anybody's they faced, a different type of dual threat than a Castellanos from Florida State. Like he's more of just how fast and quick and speedy that he is. Mateer's got some wheels and stuff too, but he's more of that tough inside runner, can get outside. And I think you will see Mateer run the ball. I would be shocked if Mateer didn't have double digit carries in this game.
Yeah.
I think this is we're literally throwing the kitchen sink at this Alabama defense. We're going to see if you can stop the QB run game and the +1 QB run game, and they're going to run him a lot. So I would be shocked if he doesn't have at least 10 carries in the game. As far as Alabama's concerned, yes, you're not going to just all of a sudden find yourself running the football against this Oklahoma defensive front. This is the best defensive front that Alabama has faced this year. This is arguably the best defensive front in all of college football. When you look at the numbers too, the sacks, the tackles for a loss, the rush D, pass D, all that stuff that Oklahoma is along that defensive front, they're nasty. They've got NFL Sunday guys all over across that defensive front. And I'm expecting R. Mason Thomas to be playing in this game. I mean, I don't know if he's 100%, but heck, dude, like the coach Pete stuff always says, who is 100%? At this point of the year. Uh, but I think Oklahoma's front seven is one of the strengths, period, of any
I think
defense.
they're pretty solid depth wise, even without him, and they showed that in
Agreed.
the Tennessee game.
Agreed. They had some guy that I can't remember his name, and I'm drawing a blank. But the dude, white guy, exciting white from the state of Tennessee that stepped up and played his butt off against the Vols
Yeah.
in Knoxville and had a ton of tackles and was a real difference maker in that game. I mean, dude, Ryan Grubb's going to earn his money in this one. He's going head to head against one of the best defensive minds and defensive play callers of our lifetime. That guy, Brent Venables, has had 2 weeks to prepare for you with a bye week here. And so Grubb is going to have to figure out a way to keep that Oklahoma defensive front off of Ty Simpson. And the screen game, the quick passing game, using the extension of the run game with some of those quick passes that they've been doing here lately, the screen game, end arounds, stuff to Jeremy Bernard. I think you're going to see some of that. The thing that I would say for Ty and for Alabama, and even for Oklahoma's defense, this will be the first quarterback, man, that Oklahoma has faced that so far, like all of your X's and O's gurus, the reason why Ty is the number one quarterback on the NFL big board right now, according to most mock drafts that you're seeing, are because nobody is coming to the line of scrimmage and setting protections, resetting protections, changing you in and out of plays to get you out of bad plays because of what the defense is giving you and getting you into good plays. But the number one thing that he's doing that people say that most other quarterbacks in college football are not doing well right now is after the snap. So many defensive coordinators ask Kirby Smart when his comments after the game against him. You show him one picture and then you give him another picture after the snap. That normally confuses college quarterbacks to death. And Brent Venables is one of the best at that. Ty Simpson has been elite at that this year. That might be his best trait. Accuracy in that might be his two best traits that he has. So if that is true, again, I'm not an X's and O's guru, but the people that we respect that are, that's what they say. If that is true, then I'm going to be interested to see how Ty reacts because we know that Venables is going to do that in this game. Then it comes down to, can the Alabama offensive line give him enough time? Ty will take hits in this game. He's going to get hit. Defensive front's too good for Oklahoma. Can he give him enough time to get the ball off? And can Oklahoma's secondary truly cover? We saw Tennessee in that first half. Like turnovers ended up being the difference in that game, in that Tennessee game. and Ty's got one interception on the year. Can Oklahoma beat Alabama straight up without forcing turnovers? That's a question I'm asking to you. Do you think they can?
No, because I think we both are willing to bet on Mateer having a couple turnover-worthy plays too when he throws the
I was
ball.
just getting ready to say that.
That's
Yeah.
been his MO all season. Now, some people we know may be convinced they'd bet money on Ty Simpson fumbling the ball at some point in this game,
Because he has
like he's
what,
going to have a
3 games
fumble
in a row.
4 games in a row. I think, yeah, but
Shout out, Freddie.
I think the OU D line obviously they can stop the run, and like that's not going to be like their number one focus because they feel pretty comfortable about that. I bet they absolutely need to get pressure on Ty Simpson. He's going to need to probably show off more of his mobility in this game, if it were
Yep.
my guess. I mean,
Yep.
everyone they kind of just forget about some of his mobility, but he's a very mobile quarterback. They're number 2 in opponent adjusted defense. Oklahoma is. They're number 1 in creating negative plays.
Yep.
So I'm willing to bet Ryan Grubb. If it were me, I wouldn't be calling too many first down runs because of Jam Miller back there. All you're going to get stuck into is 2nd 11, 2nd and 12, because like I said, they are so good at creating those negative plays. When you think back on last year's game, obviously Jalen Milroe a quarterback, completely different offense. So Venable, obviously, he's seen a little bit of kind of like a DeBoer's imprint on an Alabama team. Obviously, they handled it really well last year. It was in Norman. But again, that game right there was basically the kicker and the way they lost was the kicker why Alabama was not in the playoffs.
Oh, for
So
sure.
what kind of mindset does Alabama have for this game? Obviously, revenge on the mind. Like, how much are they talking about that this week?
Oh, I mean, what happened last year has nothing to do, obviously, what's going to happen on the
Sure.
field this year, but from a revenge payback perspective, oh, it's huge, man. It's twofold, okay? I mean, all of these dudes are football players, okay? They're all alphas. I mean, they had their manhood tested last year in Norman.
And they failed.
They did. They got punched in the mouth and laid down. Like that was one of the only times that I can remember watching an Alabama football team on the field literally have the fight taken to them and act like that they didn't want any part of it.
That and the Florida State game this year.
Do what?
That and the Florida State game this year.
That's true. Yeah, that happened in that game.
Yeah.
But I don't think you will see that with this game. I can promise you that is one of the number one things being talked about to them was that. As I don't think that it'll be a deal where Oklahoma is going to come out and just bully Alabama like they did in Norman last year. This will be if Oklahoma is to win this game, John Mateer, obviously, twofold. Alabama's is arguably the best team in the country in the turnover margin right now. They might be actually number 1 in the country right now in turnover margin. They're really good at forcing turnovers. And when you, like, for example, you just said it, John Mateer in most games this year has had multiple turnover worthy plays. Whether the defense catches the ball and the interceptions and things like that is a totally different thing. Alabama has been capitalizing on those. When they get their hands on the ball, they normally get it. So Mateer can't turn the football over, and they need a big-time effort out of him. Because I do think Oklahoma's defense is going to be able to slow Alabama's offense down. I don't know about shut them down, stop, or anything like that, but I do think they'll be able to slow them down because they're just so good defensively.
I mean, LSU's defense was able to slow them down last week.
Right. I mean, look, it's a misconception right now with this Alabama team. Like here we are. We were however many minutes into this. Dude, I haven't even mentioned, and I hope that I was telling some friends this. I hope the Alabama defense that somebody gives them just a good 5-minute clip of every talk show, and I hope ours get included because, of course, ATB is legit, that all everybody's talking about in this matchup is the Oklahoma defense, elite Oklahoma defense, the Oklahoma defense against this Alabama offense, the Alabama offense, the Oklahoma defense. Nobody's talking about one of the best defenses in the country the last 4 weeks, which is Alabama's defense. That defense has been fantastic in the last 4 weeks. And down the stretch, they're the main reason that Alabama's winning games here lately. They're not turning the football over. They're not making mistakes. They're forcing you to make mistakes. They're not having a bunch of penalties. And the defense is ball hawking and playing their butts off. So If that continues, I think Alabama will win this game. But it's can they not give up the explosive running plays? Because Blaylock's had a few this year, and keep Mateer bottled up and don't let him go run for 6-7 yards a carry on 10 to 12 carries. That'll be the key for this Alabama defense.
Once again, like we talked about last night, give us a lowdown of the playoff picture for both these teams, win or lose coming out of this game.
I've dubbed this game return the favor Saturday for Alabama. Last year they were eliminated. I don't care what the committee ended up doing. They were eliminated after that Oklahoma game last year. Oklahoma will be eliminated, barring just absolute catastrophe from a bunch of other teams. Oklahoma's season's over if they lose this game. They are not a playoff team if they lose this game. So that's where that stands. If Oklahoma beats Alabama, they're still very much alive for a playoff spot. But just like I said about Georgia a minute ago in regards to playing Georgia Tech at the end of the year, if you are watching this right now and you think for 1 second that it's just a foregone conclusion that Alabama's going to go into the black voodoo magic of Jordan-Hare Stadium, and that is just an automatic win for Alabama, you don't know the Iron Bowl, and you haven't been paying attention to the last 3 matchups of Alabama-Auburn at Auburn when they play there.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be a situation where an interim coach will definitely feel and believe, and so will that team, that if they go out and win this game, that man that they like and DJ Durkin will be their next head coach. Whether that is true or not, that's what they will believe. And that will create the conversation for that. So, again, this is not a situation where this is a do or die for Oklahoma and it's just like, well, Alabama can afford it. Nope. If Alabama wins this game, they're in the college football playoff. They're in if they win. And you're better at this, predicting this than I am of looking at it. If Alabama wins this game, are they in the SEC championship game no matter what?
I'm 95% sure they are.
Okay. So miss me with all the stuff that people want to say about this sitting as far as the playoffs are concerned and all that. It's not as important to Alabama as it is Oklahoma. Nope. It is every bit as important to Alabama as it is Oklahoma in this spot. It's just the circumstance of what happens to who loses the game is the only thing that changes and is different in this spot. I have a best bet in this game. I am rolling with the Tide and taking Bama -5.5 in this game. And I believe the Alabama defense will be the difference in this football game, that they are tired of listening for the whole week about how great Oklahoma's defense is, and they are great. But they have been sitting around and listening to that and are getting no credit for how well they've been playing for the last month. And I think this Alabama defense will force a couple of turnovers and keep doing what they've been doing all year long, and they won't make a ton of mistakes. And it'll be a return the favor for what happened last year in Norman, and Alabama will end Oklahoma's college football playoff hopes and dreams, and Alabama will win this game and cover the -5.5.
Yeah, I think you can find 5.5 out there. It's pretty steady at 6. You can probably find a 6.5 out there if you like Oklahoma. I am shocked at how many bets I've already seen come in on Oklahoma from so-called experts or bookmakers out in Vegas and everything, professionals who do this.
Seen it too.
Yeah, and my initial thought was Alabama -6 and take them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it a best bet as well. I'm going to ride with you. I just think Alabama is too good. I mean, yes, turnovers, uncharacteristic turnovers is the only way that I can see Oklahoma coming out with this game. So I think Alabama gets it done. I think they take care of whatever FCS team they play next week, and then they go to Auburn rivalry weekend and see what happens there. Things get crazy a little bit. So number 9, Notre Dame at number 22, Pittsburgh, noon on ABC. College Game Day will be there. What a triple header we have on ABC. This game at noon, got Oklahoma, Alabama at 3:30, Texas, Georgia at 7:30. Even though nobody can watch ABC right now, unless you have certain apps or an antenna sitting on top of your roof. Pittsburgh right now, 12.5 point underdogs in this game. I was fully ready, and I think I might have told you this. We had a couple other people say this. I'm going to take Pitt plus the 12.5. But man, what Pat Narduzzi said earlier this week has my head spinning.
Yep.
And I don't know if, Marcus Freeman or Notre Dame, those guys paying attention to it or not. Like, he's got to be thinking, what in the world? Like, I don't know if he's just playing mind games. I don't know if he's in the locker room pulling we got him right where we want him. They don't think we don't care about this game. We're going to go out and punch him in the mouth. But to come out and say that publicly, if you haven't had a conversation with your players, like, what are the players thinking at that point when our coach says we could lose this game by 100 as long as we win the next two?
I have to admit that affected my thoughts on this game as well. Whether it should or shouldn't, maybe that makes me an idiot. That comment in the media, the coach said what he said. I mean, he could have easily walked back to the team and said, "Guys, I was just playing to the media, whatever like that." He said that guy asked me what he asked me. He said, "We know we want to go out and win this football game." He could have done that. I have no idea, but I don't know if he did that or not. I do know what he said in the media, and that was just crazy. But I'm going to try to just only look at this from pure matchup perspective. And no doubt about it, when Pitt made the switch to that true freshman quarterback earlier this year, this Cade Bell offense, who, if you were just now joining the party for Pitt, Cade Bell was an incredible offensive coordinator with one of the better offenses at any level of football, FCS, FBS, Division 2, 3, whatever, NAIA. Western Carolina was legit. And Pat Narduzzi made an incredible hire by bringing him in as OC last year. And they were really good offensively last year. They were rolling when Eli Holstein was playing. I think they were undefeated, actually. He went down with an injury, and then they lost multiple games in a row down the stretch. This year, the Holstein ended up being replaced by this true freshman quarterback, and this offense is a wagon right now. They've been a problem to stop. My only thing that I will ask you is it the thing that I love to say on this show that two things can be true? Is it that this offense is really good and they have been taking advantage of playing weaker competition? Because, dude, when you go through this schedule, bro, look, Stanford, NC State at home. NC State's defense is booty. Offensively, NC State can score. They hung 34 on Pitt in that game.
Sure.
They gave up 53 to Pitt, which is still, it's impressive. They gave up, that Pitt scored 53. But again, NC State can't stop me and you and 9 others right now. Syracuse, after Angeli went down, our boy, old Fran Brown and the Qs, they just, hanging by a thread, period, right now. Florida State, enough said. Boston College, enough said. They lost at home to Louisville. We respect Louisville and, Brom and that bunch. And then one of our upset alert picks earlier this year, West Virginia in the backyard brawl. And we know West Virginia is I know that's a rivalry game. We picked West Virginia in our upset alert that week. But still, Pitt's not a very good football team. This is a massive, massive step up in class for Pitt in this game. And I'm not saying they can't handle it. It's just we haven't seen it yet. Out of all those teams I just mentioned, and this includes Louisville. Louisville's got some dudes now, like a wide receiver in the skill position. But across the board, Notre Dame has one of the more talented 22, 11-11 on both sides of the ball that you're going to see in the country right now. And again, they're another one with this Mike Denbrock offense. What do you do defensively? I think obviously the number one thing that you have to do is you have to figure out a way to slow down the running game with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price with Notre Dame.
Which Pittsburgh can do.
Yeah, they can.
Allowed 81 yards per game.
Yep, they can.
But again, the competition.
Exactly. Hey, that's great. All the yards per game you have. And again, Pat Narduzzi is a defensive-minded guy. He's always got dudes up front that he gets the most out of, and Pitt's usually pretty solid defensively under him. But if they slow down Jadarian Price and Love in this game, hats off to him, because that's a tough task, man. But the difference in this year's Notre Dame team to last year, which we all talked about before the season, was this wide receiver core and the overall passing game with CJ Carr. They're not a one-trick pony. They're not a line up and try to bloody your nose, run the football, and then they don't have another pitch. They're not a Mariano Rivera, I'm only going to throw the cutter and there's nothing else I'm going to throw. They've got multiple pitches that they can throw at you. So it's just going to be interesting, man, to see if Narduzzi, who is a defensive, like he's a stud as a defensive coach, what he can do defensively against this Notre Dame bunch. Where I think Pitt can have success is offensively
Yeah.
against Notre Dame. But again, my issue with that is, like, if you're Notre Dame's defense right now, I think a lot of people out there do respect Pitt's offense, right?
Yeah. I mean, we do.
Yeah. Earlier in the year, they were the talk. That Chris Ash and that defense, they were the talk from a negative perspective against the better competition, the better teams that they played. I mean, again, as a competitor, this is a situation and a spot where this Notre Dame defense against a very well respected, good offense can change that narrative. That they are the defense that people thought they were going to be going into the season. So I'm just interested to get your thoughts on that because obviously you know way more about this Irish bunch than I do.
Yeah, I mean the Irish. I've watched a good bit of their games.
Yeah,
They're
every
giving
snap.
up. They're giving up 232 passing yards per game, which is 89th in the country. But when you adjust for opponents, I couldn't believe this, but opponent adjusted pass defense, they're second in the country, which was very very shocking to me, according to Pick Six Plus guy Brett Ciancia over there. I still think Mason Heinschel can take advantage of that Notre Dame secondary. Pitt cannot run the ball. They have
No.
had trouble running the ball. Desmond Reed has been in and out of injuries this year.
Yep.
He's kind of like their all-purpose guy. They just have not been able to run the ball. So it is going to be on the true freshman's shoulders with that heavy offense, heavy pass offense, all that. I also think CJ Carr can take care against can take advantage against the 46th ranked opponent adjusted pass defense out of 60 AP4 teams. They have, again, you mentioned CJ Bailey and NC State put up 34 on them.
Yep.
So I think there is an advantage there for Notre Dame. It's I shudder to say it because of what happened and what the final result was, but this feels a lot like Notre Dame going to Arkansas early in the year. Got a noon kickoff then. It was a big game. It was on ABC or ESPN, one of those two. Heavy, really, really good offense in Arkansas, and Notre Dame's defense showed up. They created turnovers. They got to get pressure on Heinschel to get up in his face, make the true freshman uncomfortable. My question for you is, would it be better for Notre Dame to win this game 27-24 and keep Pitt in the top 25, just like Oregon did last week with Iowa?
No.
No?
Murder them if you're Notre Dame.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, everyone's getting, we're guilty of it too. We're giving Oregon a ton of credit now.
Yep.
Like, and we know, I mean, we're ball knowers, right? We'll say it. We know exactly how talented Iowa is.
Yep.
Right. So even if they had dropped out of the top 25 in the rankings last night, we would have been all over that. It's a mistake. We still give Oregon credit. But a lot of the, I'll say casuals, but just college football fans are saying, oh, Oregon's got a ranked win out there. Everyone's all about these ranked wins. Well,
Yep.
Iowa's, ranked number 21. So that's my question is like,
I see what you're saying because the casuals out there will just, if Notre Dame blitzes them and beats the brakes off of them, everybody's just going to be like, see, we told you Pitt sucked. Pitt ain't no good.
ACC,
Yeah, they're not any good. But on the flip side of that, the same people that say that, if Notre Dame goes out and wins 27-24, they're going to be like, the ACC sucks. Notre Dame barely even beat Pitt and stuff, which again, is you just can't win either way.
No.
Here's the reality. Pitt's a really good football team. They've got a really good offense. Pat Narduzzi's a heck of a defensive coach. This would be a good win for Notre Dame no matter what. There's a reason College Game Day is going to this game. And it has nothing to do with the brand. It's because the brand of Notre Dame, and that's it. No, it's because it's a matchup of two dang good football teams. And yes, College Game Day is also going there because that's where Pat McAfee's from. That is done in there as well. I understand that. But they were not just, okay, they're not just going to go to Pitt if Pitt was playing NC State. They're going to it because it's a good matchup between two good teams, and it was a great spot for Pat McAfee to go home. But for Pitt to have a chance to win, their offense has to be what they've been. They've got to be explosive and got to be able to make plays and not turn the freaking football over like you said Arkansas did against Notre Dame earlier this year. And they've got to be able to keep the pass rush off of them. and then you've got to be able to find a way to slow down. You got to slow down that Notre Dame running game. If you
You got to
don't
keep
slow them down,
you're not gonna slow them down. You got to keep the explosive runs at a minimum.
yeah, yeah, you can't let Jay Love just take off for 60 down the, or you can't tackle him behind the line of scrimmage or think that you've tackled him behind the line of scrimmage and he stays on someone's body and then takes off 70. That's easier said than done. Man, I've got a best bet in this game, dude. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to lay the wood with the Irish here, bro. I'm going to take the double digit favorite on the road at Pitt. And I don't think that Pitt's defense is good enough to slow down this Irish offense enough. I do think this is a total just step up in class for Pitt in this game. I think this is a situation where Notre Dame, they hear it, bro. They hear what the rest of the country's saying. They know they need to go out and play well and perform well and stuff, too. I
Mhm.
think that this is a great opportunity. They're going to have a lot of eyeballs on their game for them to flex and take care of Pitt. And just like Pat Narduzzi said, if they lose this game, there's nothing to them in the ACC race. They still can go win their next two ball games and possibly get to a college football playoff if they win the ACC championship. I said possibly. I didn't
With
guarantee it.
3 losses, I don't know about that.
I was going to say I didn't guarantee it.
Yeah,
JMU may have something to say about that.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to take Notre Dame minus 12.5 in this game to cover and to win and cover the spread. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns plus in this one.
Okay, man, the fan in me, I don't know if I can get there. Like, I'm gonna stay away from it right now. I might get a little more into it on Saturday or something. The Narduzzi mind games are messing with me, man, and I probably am overthinking it a little bit. I think Notre Dame will get the job done ultimately in Pittsburgh, and then they get Syracuse and Stanford that are not last 2 games, so should be good there and set themselves up for possible college football playoff berth. So one game that's flying under the radar here for us: number 21 Iowa, number 17 USC. The Trojans 6.5-point favorites, 3:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network. CBS actually chose Penn State at Michigan State over this game. This game's on Big Ten Network, so that was the first puzzling decision. This game is probably flying under the radar. USC still has a shot to get to the Big Ten championship game. They need things to break their way. Iowa, obviously, with 2 losses now, a little harder. Had they won that game against Oregon, it would be a lot less under the radar. This game would be, to me. I mean, this is the old immovable object versus irresistible force, right? It's USC's offense versus Iowa's defense. I mean, the main question in this game is, can Iowa's defense travel to the Coliseum? Will Lincoln Riley have an offense, or have an answer for that? Phil Parker defense. Will Phil Parker have an answer for that Jade Mayavala offense? Like, I mean, this might even be more of a contrast of styles that we'll see this Saturday in the Iowa-Oregon game due to the weather, it being in Iowa City. Like, this is going to be sunny out in LA. We're going to get clear skies, like, can be great weather. And I just don't know, man. I think I want to think Iowa can hang in this game because I want to think defense can travel, but this USC offense can get on you at any second.
I think this is a significantly tougher test considering like what all the things you just said. So twofold. That was not the Oregon offense that we all know in that game for 2 reasons. One, you can't play that way in that type of weather. Number one. Number two, I didn't expect when we did our preview last week that Oregon was going to be without Kenyon Sadiq and receiver going blank. Yeah, that's a freshman wide receiver that I'm going blank, DeCorian Moore. They were without Kenyon Sadiq and DeCorian Moore in that game. So they didn't have their full on like aerial assault passing attack in that game in Iowa City. And the weather obviously dictated that as well. The other part of this, dude, Oregon ran the ball really well against Iowa from a yards per carry perspective. So Iowa pretty much knew that Oregon was going to be either throwing short, safe passes or they were going to be running the football. You know who one of the best teams in all of college football is from a yards per carry perspective? USC. You know who's just one of the best offenses, period, across the board in all of college football? USC. From a passing standpoint and a running standpoint, they're as balanced as it gets, man. They're your typical Lincoln Riley's system type offense. That's what this USC group is. And the last part of this, I just said Kenyon Sadiq and Decorian Moore were out last week. Bro, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, and multiple other weapons that USC has at the wide receiver position. I mean, this is the best group of receivers that Iowa has seen this year because they didn't play Ohio State. So I think this is a tough test, man, for Iowa. And I think it's a tough test for twofold. Dude, they put everything into that game last week,
Yep.
just poured their heart and souls and other body parts into that game, had it, and then had it taken away from them at the very end like that. Now they got to go across the country to USC, who's sitting there with still everything to play for, college football
Coming
playoff
off a
spot.
bye.
To what?
Coming off a bye.
Coming off of, no, I think they played Northwestern last week, didn't they?
You're right. They get one extra day of rest.
One extra day to
Yeah.
prepare. So the contrast of styles, the athletes, I just think that I think USC is a tough matchup for Iowa, man, in this game for all the reasons I just said. I have a best bet in this game as well. I've got USC in this. I love the spot for USC. I love the matchup for USC. Again, the balance that USC creates on offense, the yards per carry running the football, the explosive ability in the running game, the ability also to the explosive passing game that they've got with Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. I just think, again, this USC offense is going to be a really, really, really tough test for Iowa in this spot, especially with Iowa coming off that game last week and that heartbreaker against Oregon. And we've seen USC already play some of these like ground and pound type Big Ten teams that can't really throw the football a ton. And we saw them spank Michigan already in the Coliseum. I think it's going to be very similar to that, man. I think USC is going to take care of business in this game and win this game with double digits. So I'll take USC minus 6.5 to get it done in the Coliseum against the Hawkeyes.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm gonna take it as well. Ride with you. I think that, yeah, like you said, Iowa put a lot into that game last week. I think USC is going to get the job done. I think it's going to set up a really, really big matchup between them and Oregon
Yep.
in Week 13, which we will be covering that on our Week 13
Yep.
preview next week, as long as both teams win and as long as both teams take care of business. So we're both on USC minus 6.5. Let's talk real quick. Upset meter, 1 to 10. You can give a Barstool Pizza review kind of score here on these.
Oh, we will.
Friday night, 9:00 on Fox. Minnesota at number 8, Oregon. Oregon minus 25.5 spread. Will they have any hangover from that game at Iowa City? Will they have any look ahead to the USC? A little sandwich spot there in Autzen Stadium.
I'm going to give it a 0.4%
Wow,
chance.
hope PJ Fleck hears this.
0.4% chance. I don't think Oregon's going to be caught napping in this one at home. If it was on the road, I would give it a lot more, obviously, of an opportunity. But no, I don't. I think, honestly, man, I think Oregon's running game, even if they are sleeping a little bit, they can run the football well still with really good offensive line, multiple really good backs. That defense for Oregon's still legit. They can lean on the defense if they need to in this matchup. They could be playing really bad, and I still think they could win this game by double digits. So I'll give it a 0.4% chance.
I'm going to give the Gophers a little bit more respect. I'm going to say 1.4.
1.4? Okay, 1 more percent than me. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully PJ hears that. So noon on ESPN, South Carolina at number 3, Texas A&M. The Aggies currently 19.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 0.9% chance. Not going to give it a full 1%.
Okay.
Lenore Sellers, obviously, there's always a chance that he could just go off on you and have a tough, but I just think this is a really bad matchup for South Carolina for all kinds of reasons. But one of which being South Carolina's offensive line, they're not even booty, bro. They're cheeks. That's worse than booty. And A&M's defensive front is nasty. And they're going to get after Lenora Sellers in that just all game long. And South Carolina might be on quit alert if A&M starts getting up on them a little bit in College Station. That could get ugly in a hurry. It could. If A&M does get a little bit of a lead, that could get ugly in a hurry.
So you're following the spread there. It's a 6 point, lower spread than the Oregon Minnesota game. So a little bit of better chance. I'm going to go the opposite direction. I don't care what the spread is. I'm going to say 0.1
Okay.
out of 10 for the Gamecocks. Cocktober died a painful death this year.
It did.
Wounded cock mode was a bust as well.
They were close. They were
Ag,
close. They were close against
Ag,
Alabama in that one to doing it.
yeah, but that was a perfect
It
storm
was.
spot game and everything. A&M, I think they're rolling right now. I don't think they're going to be touched in this game.
I
Maybe
think
too
I
much
think
for
them getting
Coach.
ranked third too pisses them off.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, I
it
can see
does.
that.
I think it does. I think
Yeah.
it actually pisses them off and makes them want to just go out and anger bang somebody even more.
Noon on Fox at Wrigley Field, number 18, Michigan at Northwestern. The spread is currently 11 and a half. I really wish they would stop playing football games in baseball stadiums, but that's another episode for another time.
They should play
I'm going
this.
to
They
go
should play
ahead.
this at that high school stadium that Northwestern's playing in right now.
Yeah, why not? It's
I want
probably
to see that
freezing.
maize and blue helmet in on that type of a field to see what it looks like. I would have
You
loved to
tune
have
in and
seen
be
that.
like, Northwestern's playing Delaware. It's a high school. It's a high school stadium.
Exactly. I would have loved to seen something like that.
Um, I'm going to give Northwestern here. I'll say 2.8.
Okay.
2.8 chance to upset. I mean, we've seen Northwestern. Obviously, they've played discipline for years and years under Fitzgerald. David Braun comes in and they play, similar ball to that. They're never going to have the athletes like other teams have, and yet somehow they find themselves in a game or two like this where they are hanging around with a team they shouldn't be hanging around. So I'm gonna give it 2.8.
I'm going to give it about a 3.9. And the only reason I'm going that high is for the reasons you just said and the fact that I've seen Northwestern this year go out and give Nebraska all they want in Lincoln. They beat Penn State at Penn State like they did. I know that Penn State was really, I mean, they've been reeling all year. But still, I've seen them at least step up and put up a fight a couple of times against some of these teams. And unlike Texas A&M, like we talked about a minute ago, sorry, Michigan, to catch some strays here. Their offense is not a wagon like that Texas A&M offense. I
Mhm.
mean, Michigan's liable to go out there and not be able to complete a lot of forward passes against you. That is very possible that could happen, and so that gives it a little bit more of a chance for an upset. But still, I'm with you. I mean, it's obviously 3-9 is not some huge opportunity there for a chance. I just give it a little bit more of a chance than the other ones you've mentioned so far.
Another noon game, ESPN2, the newly minted number 24 South Florida Bulls going on the road to Annapolis, facing the Naval Academy. You got to respect the troops.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently a 10.5 point spread. Navy started the season off 7-0. They lost to North Texas. They lost to Notre Dame. They've got USF. They've got Memphis. I think they've got someone else too, to where they're liable to finish the season 7-4, 7-5
Yeah,
for that Army game. So, what do you put on this one?
I'm going to give it a 5.1.
Ooh, a little over half chance. All
I mean, the
right.
troop. We respect the troops, and we at home. You know, the week of Veterans Day. They're Navy again, dude. That option, you just never know, man. Like if South Florida doesn't fit it well, doesn't fit the run well and fit that option well, it could be a long day for the Bulls. But like I just think, man, that Byron Brown, the athletes that South Florida's got, and I told you this beginning of the year. I'm not talking about just the G5 level. Like the linebacker duo at South Florida is among seriously like some of the best in the country. They're legit at the linebacker position, which obviously is you need that a lot against this option attack that Navy's going to run. But I give it just a little bit over a 50% chance that they could upset them at home like this. And dude, I have no idea if there's any distractions or not, but I'm just wondering if there is distractions with Golish. Uh, you know, is he interviewing for any jobs during the week? Is he talking with his agent about, hey, what about Arkansas? What's going on there right now? What's going on? Like, you think Florida State might be firing Mike Norvell? You think they want to hire me? Like stuff like that going on. Do you lose your focus even a little bit? I'm going to say that South Florida still wins the game, but I give it a little bit more of a 50% chance.
Okay. I love the troops, but I can't go that high. I'm gonna say 3.9. I'm giving it
Okay.
3.9 for the Naval Academy. Just especially after I watched them play up in South Bend last week. So wasn't pretty for him.
Yeah.
And I think USF is, like you said, they're just more athletic than them. So, but they could keep it close for the first half. We'll see.
Yeah.
3:30 on ESPN. North Carolina State at number 15, Miami. Miami 14.5 point favorites right now. Um, Miami past month has been up and down. We saw them play Stanford or one of the Stanford to a 7-7 tie at halftime.
Yeah.
Obviously, they lost to SMU.
Mhm.
Didn't look great at home against Louisville. NC State, they can get after you on the offensive side of the ball.
Off a bye week.
Um,
The Wolfpack's
Off
off a
of
bye
bye
week too.
week. I mean, if we're talking coaching matchups, Dave Doran is a heck of a lot better coach than Mario Cristobal when it comes to in
In-game
time,
coaching.
game
Yep.
decisions. Yeah. What do you got on this one?
I'm gonna go 4-9. I just
Okay.
think NC State's defense, man, is just too bad. If this was a typical like defense that Dave Duran's had in the past, that was, that could put up a really big fight, I'd give it a little bit more of a chance than that. Uh, and I know CJ Bailey, that NC State offense can score some points, but I just think this Miami defense is going to be up for the task for that. And I think Miami's offense, there's too many athletes on Miami's offense. And whether it's warranted or not, I do think that the rankings last night might have put a little bit of a good old steroid shot right in the booty of Miami to give them maybe some false hope that they've still got some serious chances to make the college football playoff at this
Well, yeah,
moment.
all they got to do is keep beating the likes of Syracuse and NC State, and they'll move up 3 spots every week.
I know, man. I think Miami wins and will take care of business in this game.
Let me put a 6-8 on this game.
Okay.
I almost went 6-7, 6-7, but I'll go 6-8 on this game.
But you might have went
Um,
6-9. Hey-o.
Let me squeeze right in there to 6-8. I've seen some crazy things happen in the ACC already this year, and it would not shock me in the least if 6 o'clock rolls around, that game's in the third quarter, and I get a text from Lance and says, "Shall we turn our eyes to Coral Gables, Florida?" So we'll just see. I'm going to put a 6-8 on that one. Number 16, Georgia Tech at Boston College. 16.5 point favorites are Brent Key and the Jackets, where they have not always been the best as favorites. And Boston College Bill O'Brien's not giving up. He's telling you he's not giving up. Nobody in that place is giving up.
Except
They're
that
not
reporter.
quitting.
Except that one reporter that he chewed
Except
out.
that one reporter who always brings those crappy questions. And they showed some fight against Notre Dame a couple weeks ago, lost that game by 15. So what do you think? Anything crazy happened here?
I'm gonna go 4.5. 4.5.
Okay. All these ACC scores are always higher.
Yeah, 4.5 just because of like you said, some of these ACC teams aren't necessarily just so dominant to where you can just automatically chalk that up. That's a W. And for Brent Key as a favorite on the road, we've seen many times he struggles in this spot. But still, I think Georgia Tech with Haynes King. Haynes King's not going to let them lose this game, man. I think they'll take care of business.
I'm going to go 2.8 on this one, go lower than you. The last time we saw Georgia Tech on the field was against NC State, giving a buttload of points to NC State and just not performing well, ruining their undefeated season. I think they come back in. I think they come in completely focused
Yep.
against Boston College, and I don't think they have much trouble with the Eagles here this week. Here's a good one for you. I know you've been looking forward to this one. Florida at number 7, Ole Miss, 7 o'clock ESPN. Ole Miss currently 15.5 point favorites. They are in the driver's seat to finish 11-1 to make that college football playoff. This is if they're going to lose a game, it's probably this one, right? I mean, it just they for some reason, and they haven't done it yet. Props to Lane, they have not dropped a game that they should have won this year. But you can just never count Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin out from losing a game that they shouldn't lose.
I just think, man, this is fascinating with all of literally, it's been reported that he's got an actual offer sitting on his desk from Florida. Like everybody's already posting photos all over social media of him wearing a Florida visor and stuff. So all of that surrounding this is just fascinating. It's fun for people like us to talk about it. So what is the focus like for really either of these teams? Has Florida quit? Because they absolutely did quit in that second half against Kentucky. Have they just quit, period? I saw where Trey Wilson's done for the year. I think Dallas Wilson's being put on the shelf for the rest of the year. So, I mean, they're saying that going into the week, Billy Gonzalez was like, DJ Lagway's taking the first team reps, but little competition never hurt anybody. So, who's going to be the starting quarterback for Florida? We don't know. Man, I don't know what Florida's mindset is. Just because of what you just said, I'll give it a 3.1
Okay.
chance.
Yeah. I was going to be around the three range. So I'll line up with you. I'll give it a 3.1 as well.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, I don't think you're going to see Florida on our upset alert pick here in a couple minutes.
No.
So 7 o'clock ESPN2, last game here on the upset meter. Number 13, Utah going on the road, playing Baylor. 8.5-point favorites right now over the Bears, who are my preseason pick to win the Big 12. Thought they would be more improved than they were on defense this year. Thought the offense would continue to roll. They've had some struggles this year.
Yep.
You got Utah sitting here, and everyone just thinks Utah is kind of in the driver's seat, man. They're 13th in the playoff rankings. They got a couple teams in front of them who are playing tough games, who they can hop this weekend. And it's just going to be ho-hum, business as usual. Let's get the job done. Let's win these next 3, and let's go to the college football playoff. But you got a road game here at night in Waco. I got to put this one in the 8s, man. I got to give it like an 8-2. We love Kyle Whittingham and the Utes, but anytime you go on the road in conference, in a conference as wacky as the Big 12, crazy things can happen. We've seen, Dampier not play his best in some games this year. I do think, obviously, Baylor's defense is gettable, but, Dave Aranda's coaching for his job right now. He is coaching for his job. If he doesn't get this one, you might see his name in the papers on Sunday or Monday.
Yep.
So I'm going to give this one an 8.2.
Yeah, I'm going 7.5. I'm up there high on this one as well. This will be the best quarterback, man, unless I'm just completely whiffing because they didn't face Sam Levitt. This will be the best quarterback that Utah has faced, period, this year, in Sawyer Robertson. So anytime that you go into a matchup and you face a quarterback that is as good as Sawyer Robertson is, you know as well as I do, if that pitcher happens to be on that night in a baseball game against your elite lineup, great pitching beats good hitting all the time. If Sawyer Robertson starts feeling it, starts getting in a rhythm, and starts slinging it around the yard against you with that Baylor wide receiver group, who is very talented, and they start rolling against you, it could be interesting. Obviously my biggest hesitation for just picking Baylor, period, or to make it even higher, is Baylor's defense, man. I think we could line up in the backfield for Utah and run the football. And Utah is one of the best rushing attacks in all of college football, not just because they're in the Big 12 or they're in the Big 12, nothing like that. They're one of the best rushing attacks, period, in all of college football. And Baylor is just so bad at stopping the run. So what's good medicine to face against a high-flying passing attack? You run the football and keep that offense and keep Sawyer Robertson on the bench, which I think Utah will do. I think Utah wins the game, but I would not be a bit surprised to see the Bears in Waco push Utah and give them a game Saturday night.
Give me a rating.
I said 7.5.
7.5. All right, 7.5. Good deal. Facial expressions get me every time, man.
You're going first this week.
I am going first in our upset alert picks. We hit last week. I think we've only missed 3 weeks. We had a 2-week losing streak there. It just gets tougher later in the season, but I am going to go first this week. I am heading to the SEC, and I'm not going to do it to you. I'm not going to pick Oklahoma. Don't worry.
I know where you're going.
I'm going to take Jeff Levy and the boys and Mississippi State to go into Columbia as 7.5-point dogs plus 230 on the money line against that backup quarterback that Missouri has that did not look that good last week against Texas A&M, completing 7 total passes. I'm going to take Mississippi State to pull the outright upset. If you look at their record, they're 5-5. Getting to a bowl would be massive for Jeff Levy. And like you mentioned a couple weeks ago, he's not being talked about for any of these jobs, and he's not going to be talked about.
Right.
But he's going to be fine, building a consistent winner, hopefully there in Starkville. Um, Obviously, they've got the Egg Bowl in 2 weeks after this, and they dropped this game in Missouri. They're 5-6, needing to win the Egg Bowl, needing to beat top 8 Ole Miss to go to a bowl game. And obviously, that just seems far more unlikely. So I think they're going to put as much as they can into this game, try to get this dub, try to get to 6-5, and then crazy things can happen in the Egg Bowl. Maybe they get to 7-5. So I'm going to take them right now. I just it's a tough deal for Mizzou that Prbula got hurt, and then we had our thoughts on Prbula, but obviously, their offense was tailored around him. So they're having to change some things on the fly here. Obviously, getting beat down by A&M last week wasn't pretty. I just think Mississippi State controls it. I think they go into Columbia and they get the upset.
Honestly, when you said SEC, I was like, "What?" And then it hit me. I was like, "Oh yeah, Mississippi State." I said that they're still playing really hard for Jeff
Yeah.
Lebby right now. That'd be a good football game, man. They really will. And
Yep.
you're right. Mississippi State has every bit of a shot to win that one. Uh, Tyler, you know who quietly has been playing just really good football the last few
Who's
weeks?
that?
That is old Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels have quietly been playing some decent football here, showing some signs of life down the
Mm-hmm.
stretch here lately. They have won back-to-back games. They won at Syracuse against our boy Fran Brown. They just beat Stanford at home here recently. They lost in should have won. Speaking of upset alert, you put Virginia on upset alert with North Carolina a few weeks ago.
Every
They
dang week.
lost in overtime against Virginia. North Carolina did, but still they pushed them there. North Carolina did everything but win the game the week before that on the road against the Calgorithm at Cal. I think a dude fumbled literally going into the end zone.
Yeah.
And Cal ended up winning that game by miracle fashion. So North Carolina's quietly been playing some much better football here lately. I'm going to put Wake Forest, the old Demon Deeks on upset alert. Huge win last week for Wake on the road against Virginia, Virginia starting quarterback Chandler Morris got hurt in that game. And Wake Forest finally ended Virginia's luck that they ran out of last week. I think that North Carolina can go into Winston-Salem and win this game straight up. So I'm going to take North Carolina plus 6.5 and obviously sprinkle some on the money line here and put Wake on upset alert with the old Chapel Bill, North Carolina Tar Heels.
I love it, man. Let's finish off with our best bets.
Mhm.
Last week I went 3-4. I'm the opposite of finishing strong right now
I
for the
went three.
season, but
I
I'm
went
still
3-4 last week as well.
yeah. So I'm 39-36. Lance is 39-32. Just a couple of just average weeks for us here, but we're gonna get back on the track this week.
Yep.
We talked about it. I'm going to be with you. I'll lay this bet out, with Duke minus 5.5 over Virginia. So I'm going to be with you on that one. Last night on our live show, I gave out Indiana minus 29.5 over Wisconsin. We're talking about a team here. Wisconsin has made Indiana football its little baby back, what, in years past. You remember years ago, Wisconsin won a game over Indiana 83-20. This wasn't in like 1919. This was like half decade ago, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
83-20.
Oof.
Okay. And I don't, none of these IU guys were a part of that, but I'm sure they've seen, scores in the past and they want to put it on Wisconsin just as badly. I'm going to take Indiana minus 29.5. From early on the show, Georgia minus 5.5, Alabama minus 5.5, USC minus 6.5, Mississippi State plus 7.5, and on the money line, a little sprinkle. And then I gave this out on Sunday. And I know everyone's been waiting for this. We've been talking about the vampires forever. I went back and I looked. I dug through the archives and I have the records for the night games for BYU. I'm taking BYU minus 4.5. This game's a 10:15 Eastern kickoff, 8:15 out in Mountain Time. The sun will be far, far down. And I don't think TCU knows what's going to hit them because since 2019, in full day games that kick off 11 Mountain Time, noon, 1, whatever, full day games since 2019, BYU's 9-15 straight up. In games where there's partial darkness, so maybe a 3:30 kick, 4:30 kick, and you get second half in the dark, they're 9-6. It's much more respectable. Since 2019, in full night games, games that start after the sun goes down, BYU is straight up 39-4 at home in pure night games.
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the Vampires to get the job done against TCU -4.5. I think they bounced back from that game against Texas A&M last week.
That is what we call analysis, folks. You can go everywhere you want to go and get all the little nerdy little stuff you want to get, but you will never find someone that gives you what Tyler just gave you. Like seriously, the Vampires, baby. Let's go. All
Yep.
right. Well, with that being said, I'm with you. BYU -4.5. No reason to go into any
How could you
details on
not?
it. I'll take BYU -4.5 because the game kicks off at night. I've got Georgia -5.5 against Texas. I've got North Carolina +6.5 against Wake with a little bit of sprinkle on the money line there as well because it is the upset alert special pick for me of the week. USC -6.5 against the Hawkeyes. I think it's a really tough spot for Iowa. And again, I think USC with the plethora of weapons and just the balanced attack they're going to have on offense is going to be too much for the Hawkeyes to deal with in the LA Coliseum this weekend. I've got Alabama -5.5. Again, I think the Tide with their defense, I think their defense is going to be the story in this game. And I think Ty Simpson's ability to not allow Oklahoma's defense to force a bunch of turnovers, which is what they're really good at. Oklahoma is. They did it against Tennessee in Knoxville. I just think that Alabama's ability in the turnover margin, they're one of the best teams in all of college football in the turnover margin right now. I don't think Oklahoma's going to be able to force a bunch of turnovers from the Tide. So I'll take the Tide -5.5 at home against the Sooners. I've got Cincinnati -6.5 against Arizona at home. Since he's coming off a bye, the last time we've seen the old Bearcats on the field, they got their cheeks clapped at Utah. That's a proud bunch right now coming back home to historic Nippert Stadium. Arizona had a big win last week. Zona's been playing some good football this year. But I think this is a tough spot for Arizona coming off their win last week. I saw a video of them celebrating, hosting their coach up because they became bowl eligible. And now they're going on the road against Cincy, who is still fighting for their Big 12 championship title hopes. So I'll take the Bearcats -6.5 at home. And then on Sunday, it was my first best bet of the week. I'm with you on Duke -5.5. Unranked team versus the ranked team. It's 6-3 on the year. The unranked team when they're favored against the ranked team. So I'm going to say if we can go 7-3 and take the Dukies, the Blue Devils, -5.5 against UVA.
The only thing that can stop us is Duke turnovers.
They love to do it. They absolutely love. They can't wait to turn the football over.
That's it for us, man. We'll be back this weekend to recap all the Week 12 action, to kind of look ahead to, some more playoff scenarios and whatnot, looking at some bigger picture stuff with only 2 weeks remaining after this weekend of the regular season. So once again, man, we appreciate you guys hanging in there with us, tuning in, listening, watching YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that, X, Instagram, TikTok, everything, all that good stuff. We appreciate it, man. We thank you guys. Can't thank you enough. Stick with us. It's going to be a fun next couple of months for the college football playoffs, the national championship, all that good stuff. So for Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Noe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.